Okay, so we're ready to do our tile shower surround, and so we've installed the sheetrock, but what goes after the sheetrock? And so we have this really cool product called Kerdi. It's made by the makers of Ditra, which is the stuff we put on the floor. This is their membrane for shower systems, and so it's very thin, as you can see, and it can be installed right over top of your gypsum board sheetrock, or if you want, you can install it right over a hardy backer board or any type of concrete board. And so what I've already done is installed the sheetrock, and I've taped some of the seams and mudded some of the seams. It's not necessary, but because I was doing a remodel, I had a few transition areas that had pretty big lips and pretty big bumps, and so that's the reason that I did these transitions up here, and then it was pretty easy to do those. And so, but technically it's not necessary to do a layer of mud or tape, but if you do have really bad lips or your sheetrocker was really bad, then you would want to come over and just put in one layer just to make sure everything is smooth. And so what I did previously off camera was I took some measurements, and so I've laid out the tile on a plan set, and so I know exactly where the tiles are going to land, ideally. And so what I've marked out here is how far I want my Kerdi mat to come up. And so basically right here, as you can see, I've gone all the way. This is going to be the top of my Kerdi. And then right here, this edge is going to be the edge of the Kerdi. And so this will help me just get my measurements, and then when I'm actually placing it on the wall, this will help, and I'll be able to just fit it neatly right inside the box. Same thing over here. I've already come along here, made my lines, come all the way down, and so I'm going to cut and fit my Kerdi to fit right in here. So the last thing I have to do is mark this line up here, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm going to take our measurements off camera. This stuff is pretty easy. You basically just cut it with scissors, which is really nice, and then you just want to cut holes for your shower diverter, your tub, and then if you need to, your shower head as well. So ours is actually going to be above the Ditra, so we won't need to cut that out. And so once I'm done cutting this, we'll come back and we'll get our mortar on the wall, and we'll show you how to install this. Okay, so we just got our Kerdi cut, and like I said, we just cut it with scissors, took our measurements. It's very easy to cut. We've already done a dry fit, and basically you can just make sure it fits, hold it up to your line. This one's a pretty easy cut, just pretty basic. And so we've mixed our unmodified thin set here, and I did it a little bit more liquid than you might normally do for a tile floor, and that's just so it can get back into the felt backing and really make a good seal. And so now I'm going to take my trowel, and so there are a few different trowels that you can use. Whenever you buy the product, just make sure you're using the correct one. And so I also have with me just a bucket of water and a sponge. We are working around the tub and some areas that are finished, and so we just want to protect it. And this can be pretty messy because we're applying it to a wall, so just be wary of that. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover this wall with the with the mortar, and then use my trowel and comb through it, and then we're going to put the Ditra on. Alright, so got my trowel, and I also have my line right here. This is the line that I'm going to want to come up to. We don't really want to go further because it'll be pretty messy. And so I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up with my mortar. And so like I said, it can be pretty messy at first, and that's why I have the bucket. So you can use whichever side you think is more effective to start. And then at the end, you're going to have to transition to the notched part of the trowel. So just getting it on the wall, and then we can go through and comb it off. Okay, so I got all my mortar on and now I'm going back through and I'm running the trowel over it. So I'm just gonna comb it and put my trowel marks in it, and then we're gonna be ready to go. So I'm gonna come back and fill in any weird areas that that didn't quite get filled, but I'm gonna comb it all up and then kind of clean up. As you can see, it is a little bit messy, so that's why I got my bucket of water and my sponge. So we'll just keep combing and then we'll be ready to put on our Kerdi. Okay, so now that we're all combed out here, I'm gonna roll our Kerdi out and start from the top and work my way down. So I'm just gonna get it up here, right into the corner. And then I've got my chalk line up here that I'm trying to line everything up to. But first I'll just get it stuck with my hand. Then you can take a trowel, a float, and work it out. So we do have a piece that will overlap here in the corner. And then if you notice there was the hole here, we're going to cut this out later. So you can also use your notch trowel or come back and use this. I like this. As you can see, it's going to start to squirt out the top. That's what you're looking for. You're looking to move the mortar around, get it to areas that don't have any coverage. Scoop away the excess. Alright, so I'm going to finish smoothing this entire piece out, and then we'll be ready to do the next one. Okay, so we got this piece on, it's looking pretty good, and then we did a lot of cleanup around the tub, and so that's why I said definitely keep that sponge and bucket of water with you. It really helps to clean the tub as you go, because this can be pretty messy. And so our next piece I want to show you is going to be very similar, except what do you do for a seam. And so there's two things that you can do with the seam. You can butt them up tight, so it would just be kind of right there next to it. And then there's a seam piece that goes over top of that. Or what I'm going to show you right now is just an overlap. And so it's going to look pretty much exactly the same. I'm going to line this guy up here and we're going to overlap the pieces. So as you can see, the piece is just going to be overlapped in about 4 inches. And so I'm going to spread the mortar on here just like we did on the other wall. And then basically we'll just do the same thing, except there'll be an overlap of the Kerdi. Okay, so we just got all of our Kerdi up on the walls, and next we're going to work on our seam. So as we talked about, this seam was just pretty basic. It's an overlap seam. You can do that in the corners as well, but I want to show you how to use the product Kerdi bands. This is very similar to what we're using on the floor, and basically it's going to go in the corners here, in the corner here, and then all along the bottom, and that's going to create a good seal for water. So we're going to start on the one on the bottom. Very similar process is put your mortar down right here and comb it, but here on the bottom we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to use it's called Kerdi Fix, and so it comes in a tube, and it's more like a caulk product that has flexibility. And so the reason they're using that here is because of the flexibility, as well as it's a little bit better for water, because this is an area where water will tend to stand. And so, like I said, we're going to get this up here like so, with the mortar and the adhesive behind it. And then we're going to smooth it out just like we did the other one. So I'm going to work, and I'm going to start with the mortar. Got a smaller trowel for this area just because it's a little bit more tough to reach. Now that part is good to go. Now we're going to get right over the tub, so you're actually going to be on the acrylic, and that's where you're going to put this. You're looking looking for a pretty thin bead because it will smush out. Okay. Now, shake off any of this mortar. And you're going to align it right with the bottom of the tub and just bring it a hair up. About an eighth. Okay. Get your trowel out again and smooth it. Get rid of the excess mortar. And then we're also down here smoothing out the Kerdi fix. And so you can use that to seal a lot of different areas. This is one of them. After I get this smoothed out, we're going to work our way around the bottom of the tub, and then we're going to be able to do these vertical pieces. And so the reason we started here is we want these vertical pieces to overlap the horizontal ones. So I'm going to finish this, and then I will get back to you guys when we are ready to do the vertical pieces. Okay, so we just finished the Kerdi on the bottom, and so now we're going to work on this vertical seam here. So I've taken the Kerdi band and actually bent it a little bit, creased it in the middle. So what we have here is, it's almost like a inside corner tape for if you were doing drywall. And so kind of the same process applies. We're actually going to embed it into the Kerdi using mortar, and so I can just get a good feel for the fit, and then I can go ahead and I'm going to put mortar in behind it. If you had a corner trowel, that wouldn't be a bad thing to use here, or anything like that. So now I'm going to get my mortar out, I'm going to fill up both sides of this, and then we're going to comb it and then embed it. Okay, so here we have the Kerdi band. It's already bent a little bit, and so now it really is just working it into this corner. And so you can use your trowel, get it started, but just try to push it into the corner using that seam you created. And then once it's in the corner, you're good to go. So from here, you can just work your way out. Smooth it out, and always just make sure that the center still stays nice and tight in there. And now if you have a corner trowel like this, and this is actually a drywall tool, but you can come in here and this can help smooth it out just a little bit more. Down, get that last finishing. Okay, and then I'm just going to clean up the sides a little bit, remove the excess mortar, and that's it. And now you can go and do this on your other corner as well. Okay, so we just finished the vertical piece over there. So the last piece of waterproofing that you have to do is any of the penetrations here. And so we have the mixing valve. Kerdi has this great flange that can actually go in and really seal the entire mixing valve. And so this is kind of a very similar process. Mortar on the back, comb the mortar and then embed this into the mortar. And we also have this pipe right here, and so we've got the pipe seal. So very similar process as well. Mortar around the pipe seal, comb the mortar, and then install this right over top. And so anywhere you have a penetration, you'll want to put one of these pipe seals. The other option is to use Kerdi Fix, and so basically it would just be sealing this hole around here or sealing the hole up there. And so this is just the same old Kerdi Fix that we've been using. We used it right there. I would definitely advise getting these seal quite a bit better, and so if you can find these, they're a little bit more expensive than this bottle, but these are a really good system. We did have to take the diverter grout shield off in order to fit this on. So just be careful when you're around here. You don't want to get this clogged with any mortar. And then if you can replace it, go ahead and replace it afterwards, or put some painter's tape or anything on there that will protect it from getting mortar and tile and chipped up. Okay, so that's all we need to do for the waterproofing of the shower. I do need to come back, finish this corner here, finish the bottom, but I'll do those off screen. So now we're ready to do the tile for here. So I'll see you guys when we're ready to do wall tile. Thanks for watching our video. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can get updated on all our newest videos. Also, go ahead and click the links below so that you can see our social media profiles as well as our website.